Good morning, guys. I hope you all are safe in this quarantine days. So, welcome to my channel. And today I came up with a very important and little bit tough topic that is Marxism. I will try my best to make you understand in a very easy way. So, let's get started. So, Marxism, a body of doctrine developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the mid 19th century. It is a method of socio-economic analysis that views class relations and social conflict using a materialist interpretation of historical development and takes a dialectical view of social transformation. Karl Marx and Engels called their economic theories communism rather than Marxism. It is also known as scientific socialism. So, why it is communism? Because there was a revolt going on by the Communist Party or group, and by their name, they forced Marx and Engels to write a theory on their Communist Party on communism so that the name came communism, and Marx and Engels called their economic theories communism rather than Marxism. And now the summary. By the 19th century, nations such as England had become industrialized society. Marx and Engels undertook detailed studies of the condition of culture, paying particular attention to questions of political power and economic conditions. There is nothing in industrialized societies, political power rested with individuals or group of individuals who controlled the factory or the industry. Marx and Engels noted that class was the key element in such societies. Developing this theme, they argued that such societies exhibit a battle of classes where the upper class or feudal landlords, factory owners, or capitalists, these classes were called the upper classes, sought to keep the working classes, and these were serfs, factory workers, proletariat, under their control. This process of domination or hegemony within a society becomes the central feature of Marxist thought. In other words, मार्क्सिस्ट थ्योरी का ये कहना है कि कोई भी अदर डिवीज़न सोसाइटी में नहीं होते थे, बस एक क्लास होता था और यही एक डिवीज़न था जिसके तहत डिस्क्रिमिनेशन या फिर डोमिनेशन होता था. सो द फर्स्ट क्लास वाज इंडस्ट्री, द ओनर ऑफ इंडस्ट्री एंड द फैक्ट्री. जो फैक्ट्री या इंडस्ट्री को ओन करते थे उनको मार्क्स एंड एंगल्स ने बुर्जुआजी भी बोला है. जो ओनर्स हुआ करते थे, जो अपर क्लास थे, उनको बुर्जुआजी भी कहते हैं. और जो दूसरा क्लास था वो था वर्किंग क्लास, जो फैक्ट्री या इंडस्ट्री में काम किया करते थे. So these two classes are always in conflict because the upper class or bourgeoisie owned the means of production and the working class owned nothing except their laboring bodies. Marxist thought terms this conflictual relation between classes as the social relation of production. Now, we have to care on this point that why dominant class or the upper class always dominate the working class. Both have the same senses, both have the same body, both eat the same food. Then why the dominant class always dominate the working class? What is the reason behind it? So, to understand this properly, there is a term culture applied in a society. The living style or the lifestyle of upper class is far different from the middle class or the working class. And now, this lifestyle can be referred as culture in Marxist thought, and the public treat them according to their lifestyle or the way they maintain themselves. For example, we can see around us that people generally give more respect to those persons who wear branded material like branded shoes, branded purse, and branded watch they wear. So people automatically respect them more, give them value. So here the brand is more valuable. For example, brand is more valuable. So for example, in the famous posters of The Devil Wears Prada, we see pair of red high heel shoes. The shoes represent here, as the film does, aesthetic sense and the high fashion. High heel shoes, red high heel shoes is the high fashion. Why isn't a pair of working boots used here? The answer is working class boots do not qualify as fashion, even though so many people use it or wear them. But fashion is intrinsically associated with the footwear of particular classes and professions. Those who do not work in factories but in offices, those who do not live in muddy areas but in carpeted surroundings. So here, class, as we have noted, is related to matters of taste, manners and aesthetics. It is about status and power. The power that proceeds from being a member of upper class does mean simply economic power. The upper classes marginalize the experiences and aesthetics of working classes because it is the upper class or the dominant class that does the classifying of art as good or bad. Have you ever cared about this thing that there were two malls, Central Mall and the Vishal Mall? सो सेंट्रल मॉल से जो भी शॉपिंग करता है वो सेंट्रल क्या खरीदा उस चीज़ को नहीं, लेकिन सेंट्रल मॉल का जो बैग है उसको ले करके सब फोटो लेते हैं, सेल्फी लेते हैं. एंड जो विशाल मॉल से ख़रीदे हैं, तो कभी आपने देखा कि विशाल मॉल का बैग ले करके कोई सेल्फी ले रहा है, बैग को शो कर रहा है? नो, not at all, because it happens because in Central Mall all those aristocratic family or the dominant class or the upper class go there and shop from that particular mall, that is Central Mall. So people usually buy commodities from there and show the bag that yes, I bought material from Central Mall. So they show their status, they show their power. Even commodity, even the material is good or bad, it doesn't matter at all. That is the Central Mall's commodity is good because it is from Central Mall. सेंट्रल मॉल की चीज़ें अच्छी होंगी ही होंगी क्योंकि ये सेंट्रल मॉल की हैं. विशाल मॉल की चीज़ें अच्छी नहीं होंगी क्योंकि ये विशाल मॉल की हैं. यहाँ पे जो वो ऐसे लोग जाते हैं जो नीचे तबके के होते हैं, लेकिन सेंट्रल मॉल में जो जाते हैं वो सब अपर क्लास के होते हैं, डोमिनेंट क्लासेस होते हैं. सो दे शो देयर बैग, सेंट्रल मॉल्स बैग, द टैग for showing their power and status. This is the brand, this is the value of brand, more than one's knowledge, more than one's quality. And now, what is the key aspects on which domination is based? सोसाइटी में जो डोमिनेशन होता है, आखिर ऐसा क्या रीज़न है, किस चीज़ पे बेस्ड है? सो मार्क्स एंड एंगल्स ने इस आइडियोलॉजी, इस थॉट को 3 टर्म्स में डिवाइड किया है. फर्स्ट इज़ द कल्चर, एंड द सेकेंड इज़ द आइडियोलॉजी, एंड द थर्ड इज़ hegemony. So first is the culture. So the dominant class, to remain always dominant in a society, convince the working classes and the oppressed not to rebel or revolt. The dominant classes usually achieve this by suggesting to the working classes that the present social condition is natural, benevolent and ultimately beneficial to them. However, cultured products like films, the afternoon soap, opera, or comic books are created and consumed in particular context, as we have seen. Such products explain the world to us. With their social referent, they help us make sense of the world, even as the world we live in helps us generate the meanings from a text. This means works of art function as codes of experiences and realities. We decode a work of art depending on the context we occupy. here I want to give a very nice example, the work by Premchand. So Premchand wrote about the condition, about the situation of society after World War II of India. What was the condition of society? So he usually wrote about those middle class, those working class, that how much they were oppressed, how much they were oppressed by the dominant class. So I hope you all read that work story, The Journey Night, in which the hero, in which the working class, there was a man belonging belonging to the working class, was highly tortured by the landlord, and he burnt the field where he was spending his whole night in killing winter season, in the field, for taking care of the field. He was not taking care of his body, but the field. The field was more important than his body, than his health. So there, the Premchand showed this condition, this situation of society, and when the people came to read this work, this story, they started revolting. They started assuming that yes, ये उनके साथ अत्याचार हो रहा है। और जब तक ये वर्क ऑफ आर्ट नहीं पब्लिश हुआ था, नहीं आया था मार्केट में या फिर सोसाइटी में, जब तक पीपल इसको नहीं पढ़े थे, तब तक उन पे होने वाला अत्याचार जो था वो उसको नेचुरल समझते थे कि येस, इट इज़ नेचुरल, इट कैन हैपन टू देम बिकॉज दे बिलोंग टू वर्किंग क्लास एंड दे आर द dominant class. And now come to the point of ideology. Ideology or false consciousness. Marx termed it as false consciousness. So आप लोग एक मूवी तो देखे ही होंगे, टाइटैनिक मूवी। जब शिप डूबने लगता है तब पहले फर्स्ट क्लास को रेस्क्यू किया जाता है, और जब एक सर्वेंट और थर्ड क्लास वुमेन जो होती है, उसका चाइल्ड पूछता है कि हमें क्यों नहीं जाने दे रहे, तो उसकी माँ जवाब देती हैं, माँ बोलती हैं कि वो फर्स्ट क्लास हैं, पहले वो ही जाएंगे। सो दिस थॉट इज़ रेफर्ड एज आइडियोलॉजी और फॉल्स कॉन्शियसनेस। उस बच्चे के दिमाग में उसके बचपन से ही ये डाला जा रहा है कि जो फर्स्ट क्लास है, फर्स्ट क्लास में जो आते हैं, जो एरिस्टोक्रेटिक लाइफ गुजारते हैं, ब्रांडेड चीज़ें पहनते हैं, हाई फाई कपड़े पहनते हैं, पहले हर चीज़ पे उनका हक है, बाद में इनकी बारी आती है या फिर नहीं आती है। हर अच्छी चीज़ पहले उनकी होती है, बाद में इनकी बारी आती है। सो दिस इज़ द प्रोसेस ऑफ डोमिनेशन। और इस बच्चे के दिमाग में बचपन से ही भरा जा रहा है कि दिस इज़ नेचुरल, इट विल हैपन विथ हिम, इट विल हैपन विद देम। तो जाहिर सी बात है, ये फॉल्स कॉन्सेप्शंस है, विच इज़ एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट। आइडियोलॉजी is an instrument of power because it helps prop up the dominant classes by naturalizing an exploitative relationship and convincing the working classes that this is how things are. Now come to the point of hegemony. What is hegemony? So the term hegemony, popularized by Italian thinker Antonio Gramsci, hegemony is the domination of particular sections of society by the powerful classes, not necessarily through threats of violence or the law, but by winning their consent to be governed and dominated. For example, this is the very interesting example. Please listen carefully. तो मेरे पड़ोस में एक बहुत ही एजुकेटेड लेडी रहती थी, but she was so poor. She was living in a rent house. So one day a publisher came to her, and he was owning a publishing house, and he was publishing those guidebook or reference books. So what he did, he gave her a hut-like house without any rent. He gave her a hut-like house, and in respect of this, he took from her very good material to publish, and he became the richer. And every month he was giving her only 2000 rupees out of his income. Oh my god. The publisher, now the publisher is the crorepati, and that lady who was living in a kutia, still she lives in a kutia with her knowledge and education. She didn't revolt, still she didn't revolt. Why? Because she thinks that this is natural, this is the ideology, this is the false consciousness she is having, by which she is not able to revolt against him. So here, this it can be referred as hegemony can be achieved through the circulation of ideology. Got my point? So what is the conclusion? It can be concluded that there is a class in a society on which economy is based, the upper class or bourgeoisie and the working class. Dominant class always dominate the working class, and the working class let dominant class to dominate them. And Marx and Engels clarify this very thought by using terms as culture, ideology, or false consciousness and hegemony. So, guys, these are the basics of Marxism theory, Marxist theory, by which you can understand it easily. But there are many deep topics are there by which you can understand Marxist theory deeply. Those are the base and superstructure, dialectical materialism, these things are there. So I didn't reveal it yet, but in my next part of video I'm going to define what is dialectical materialism, what is base, and what is superstructure, and what is the importance of these terms in Marxist theory. Please go and watch this video. I didn't upload it, but I will upload it in 2 days, after 2 days. So please go and check it out. And I hope you liked my video, and you understood this Marxism theory in a basic way. So please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for new exclusive topics, and yeah, subscribe to my channel and share it. Take care. Bye bye.